Hey everyone, how's it going? It's that nerd Ryan here, and I'm doing take two of this because the last one, the audio got corrupted somehow. I'm going to be doing a retrospective review of the Thor movies right now. Since Love and Thunder is literally coming out tomorrow, I figured let's do what we did for Doctor Strange. So, first, let's go ahead and talk about the first Thor movie. The whole idea of it, it's the one, two, three, fourth movie in the MCU, fourth movie in Phase 1, and honestly, it is the second worst of Phase 1, the first being The Incredible Hulk. I found that movie kind of boring. Just the set of it, Asgard, anytime I see Asgard, it's beautiful. New Mexico, though, was very boring. It kind of looked like if they were on the set of Back to the Future Part 3. Kind of just feels like a fake town sort of thing. But like I said, Asgard, amazing. The story is okay. I mean, it's kind of forgettable. I had to really think about what happened in the story to think about it. And that's because I don't want to casually watch this movie. Even in preparation for seeing Love and Thunder, I just kind of want to watch Ragnarok. But we'll get to why that is for The Dark World in a minute. This one, it's just so painful to watch sometimes. And that's because of the Dutch angle. It's just so weird and off-putting and annoying that I'm like, I can't watch this movie. I did do a review of it with Angie a few years back. You can check that out. But yeah, it's just, this movie wasn't that fun. Loki was great. Thor is a completely different character now than he was back then, which is great because character development. But back here, he was just very arrogant and kind of a meathead in a sense. Just very kind of boring, I guess, is the nice way to say it. But Odin was okay. The side characters were not really that memorable. Jane was pretty good. Natalie Portman did a good job as Jane in this movie. But yeah, the villains, Loki was a good villain, always is a good villain, but the Destroyer armor, half the time I forget that it's in the movie. And the only reason why I remember is because I used to have a 3.5 inch scale Destroyer figure, and that's literally it. But yeah, so this one I have to give a 6 out of 10 because it is one of the weakest movies. Marvel is still trying to find their footing back then. I feel like they didn't really find their footing till Phase 3, which brings me to talk about Thor: The Dark World, which is the second movie in Phase 2, the 8th movie in all for Marvel, and this one is worse than the original Thor. Talk about just boring story, boring characters, and everything like that. This movie is definitely the weakest of all Thor movies, and in my opinion, probably all the MCU. I was going over with somebody a few months ago about if I were to watch movies watch the MCU movies, there's certain that I'd only watch when going through the entire MCU, and that would be Thor: The Dark World being the major one, along with Eternals and Black Widow and Captain Marvel. But I would rather watch every movie on that list more than I would want to watch Thor: The Dark World, because this movie is just so hard to watch because the side characters are boring. Thor has not evolved at all in this movie. The only good part is Thor and Loki's interactions with each other. I like their bickering and sibling rivalry and stuff like that. Honestly, when I saw Endgame the first time, I forgot that Freya died. And you want to know how bad that is right before I saw Endgame, I rewatched the entire MCU. That's how forgettable this movie is that an important character death completely went over my head and I completely forgot about it. But yeah, it's just kind of like the villains in this movie, Curse and Malekith, if that's their names, I'm pretty sure it is, are just such meh characters. And it's like, I don't even care for like their motives or anything like that. And even like with the reality stone, feels like the ether was just kind of thrown in to be like, oh yeah, it's red, we can make that the reality stone, awesome. And it's just kind of, it's kind of a boring story. It altogether, it's just kind of like, it doesn't feel that important. And like that, I guess a major issue with the Phase 2 sequel movies is you can look at it and say, well, why aren't the Avengers all together doing it here? Like, you could kind of see that with Iron Man 3. You could kind of see that with Winter Soldier. But I mean, this one, where it's apparently universe ending, only Thor's going to handle it, that doesn't make sense. But yeah, that Thor Ragnarok, I gotta give a 4 out of 10. Or Thor the Dark World, I gotta give a 4 out of 10. Next is Thor Ragnarok, where I feel like the MCU has finally got its footing. I feel like, honestly, Captain America Civil War is kind of what cemented the MCU to have, like, its style and everything. And Thor Ragnarok redefined Thor as a character. And there is not a single terrible character in this movie. Everybody's interesting. Hela being the villain is great. The arc that Skorg goes through is great. Side characters like Korg and Meep and stuff like that being introduced. Korg is one of my all-time favorites. Great character. Loki and Thor's interaction is great. Having the Hulk in this movie and having him do some funny stuff and kind of seeing this evolution of the Hulk is great. The Grandmaster, great side character. Valkyrie is a great introduction. And basically the story is just, it's funny, but it's also, we get to see Thor go through like the worst that he's been through in all of this and still come out on top and learn a major lesson in that way. That's why I'm excited for Love and Thunder, because in all honesty, out of all the characters, I felt like Thor was the one that least needed a fourth movie, but I feel like Love and Thunder is kind of making up for the first two movies and making them better. I give Ragnarok a 9 out of 10. And that is my retrospective of the Thor trilogy. Altogether, I give the Thor trilogy a 7 out of 10. Just because the first two weigh it down so much, but Ragnarok is such an improvement that it boosts it up a little bit. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, and follow me on all my social media down below. It's that Nerd Ryan telling you, have an amazing day.